Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you echoey? Did I hear that reverb?
Am
Good
I
morning.
testing?
Happy Monday. Welcome to Tech Talk with T and E. I'm the E, he's the T.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Nice little awkward intro. Is everybody awake? Did you have your coffee? Where's
Well, we had a
everybody
little
at?
technical issues this morning, but looks like we're
I know.
okay.
We seem to be rocking it so far, so we'll keep going. So today we're going to talk a recap of SEO Spring Training Digital Marketing Conference. Everybody's favorite conference, right?
Yep, it was awesome. There's no doubt about it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So just give me like your thoughts and feelings, just a really quick snapshot. What was your favorite thing about the event?
You know, I just seeing everybody getting together, just seeing all the networking. I love the networking part. I love seeing what these people are doing together. Talking about ideas and forming partnerships and just doing all the really cool things that a lot of conferences don't do well of. But I think that's my biggest thing. And I can walk around and just, see people just getting together and, creating these new relationships or rekindling older relationships or whatever. But I don't think there's any one specific thing. Probably the golf, of course. That's just near and dear to my heart because we have so much fun. But yeah, I think it's just watching people network. That's what brings joy to me.
Nice. Nice.
What about
Um,
you?
well, I feel like I get to see my friends again. So many of us live like scattered throughout the world. And so it was really nice to connect, definitely with people that I haven't seen in a year, but also people I haven't seen in multiple years, as well as people that I've only known on Facebook. Like I actually get to sit and talk and chat with them in person. Um, I think I gave more hugs to people in that week than I did in the whole several years combined. Like, to be perfectly honest, like I hugged a lot of people and I'm not a hugger. Like the kids will tell you, like, I love you. Okay, we're done.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's and it is fun, I mean, it's seeing everybody again and meeting new people and seeing people that, like you said, that we've just known through different groups or whatever. Even local groups here. We had a couple people come from our local groups here. And that's what gets really cool. And then but I don't know, it's a bittersweet when it ends because it's, you and I get to kind of take a breath and but then we know everybody's back in their own, business and doing their own thing and doing all this stuff. And so we really try to make sure that we keep the community together. We're going to have a live event here for the attendees here in a couple weeks. But that's the kind of thing. Is just try to keep everybody, centered. Try to keep everybody continuing to communicate. Be a resource for issues or challenges people are having,
Yeah.
especially around AI and everything right now. I just had a guy message me about a deployment thing he's having trouble with. So that's the kind of thing that just continues on after our conference. So it's really, really
Yeah.
cool. So well, talk to us about the first, I guess the first thing was the golf. So we had 20 people show up for the golf extravaganza.
Yep.
We golf a course right there connected to the hotel. So it's really easy, no stress and everything. Pairing people up was fun, especially some of the requests that we had, but it was a lot of fun. It's not a hard golf course, so you don't not a lot of stress and whatever. We had a couple people that had never golfed before, and this is their first time golfing, so that's always fun too. So but that was kind of, the good way to kick it off, kind of relax and then just get ready for what's going to happen. And then in the afternoon we did the VIP stuff. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. So, a lot of times we try it out first to make sure, like, do we think this is going to be a good fit? Blah, blah, blah. And this particular event, we did not try it out first, and we were just hoping for the best. Hoping that their marketing like lived up to our expectations, and I can honestly say it did. We did a place called Game Show Battle Rooms, and I know you love game shows. Like that's
Yeah.
one of your favorite things. You could sit and watch them forever. Me, not so much. And I'm not like a super participant in a lot of like physical activities, but this really was a lot of fun. So we broke up into two teams, and so we went into the individual rooms, and then within each individual room there was an additional two teams. And we did things like I mean, I don't know if I can say it, but it was like Wheel of Fortune, like Minute to Win It, like all of those things, like Price is Right. And so we competed against each other, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, there was a little bit of smack talk, but like that's just our group, and I love
Mhm.
that. So I'm obviously going to encourage it, and that's the naughty mom in me. So but we really did have a lot of fun, and I believe most everybody participated. You know, maybe one or two people would kind of sit in the back, but for the most part, we all had a great time. I mean, to give you an example of like how crazy but fun it was, we had a section like Price is Right where you have these products and you have to try to guess the cost of them. And I've had multiple people outside the country, like Elias was there. He's like, I don't know the American conversion like right off the top of my head, but we still had a lot of fun with it. And so I mean, it could be family friendly, but like ours was a little snarky, which I appreciated. But that was a lot of fun.
It,
A lot
it,
of
it, it was a lot of fun. You know, last year we did the Arena 23, and it was very physical. You know, a lot of stuff sports related and everything, which was also fun. But you know, obviously we try to do things to where we get more people involved. And next year, of course, you know, we kind of announced the tentative dates, which I'll talk about at the end. But next year we're going after the owner suite of the Diamondbacks, which we do every year. So this year was just an anomaly because the Diamondbacks happened to be on a 2-week road trip. So kind of no matter what date we picked, they weren't going to be here. So next year we're hoping for better results. We're also going to be about 3 weeks earlier than we were this year. So it's all about trying to get that Diamondbacks VIP game. That's
Well, and we have to reserve the hotel a certain amount of time in
yeah.
advance. And the reserving the hotel does not coincide with when the Diamondbacks release their schedule. And God bless them, they just don't work on my timeline,
Uh,
right?
yeah, the Diamondbacks just don't listen to us about when we
They
want
don't
the
listen
game.
to us, right?
Yeah,
Which like
100%.
totally valid. But yeah, we're always hoping that we can integrate that. Like we completely named our conference after a baseball theme, you know, spring training. Let's kind of retrain your mind, let's practice and get better so that we can, you know, go into the major leagues of marketing and, you know, improve your skills and abilities. So
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
so talk to us about our swanky VIP dinner.
VIP dinner. We went to the Brazilian steakhouse. I guess it's Gelato is how you say it.
Galeto. Yes.
Gelato, which is your and I's one of our favorites. We love those type of places. They're kind of like a spinoff of Fuku de Chao. But basically, all you can eat meat, which is always good for me. And they have a huge salad bar and everything for everybody else. So it was a lot of fun. We filled the whole room and had some of the speakers especially came in a little bit later than expected, you know, typical flight problems, so they were also able to come and eat. But it's just one of those things. It's one of our favorite times just to get together and let the speakers talk to the VIPs and create those relationships. It's a good
Yeah.
and it's also something that we do kind of a little different than a lot of other conferences. We specifically have the VIP before the actual event starts. So Elizabeth and I have been at events where the VIP will be like the night of the second night or whatever, and it gets a little awkward, you know, especially when your friends aren't VIP and you're like, hey, we're gonna go over here. so,
Yeah.
so
Well, you
you
build
know,
those relationships and those you have those great conversations and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, like I gotta go because I'm, you know, I'm VIP." And
yeah,
so we want to
exactly.
make sure that, you know, obviously the VIP makes it a 5-day conference, which, you know, I think is great. You know, you're treated really well. We want to show how much we appreciate you, how much we care that you're invested in our success as well. So our way to give back. So, but we also, you know, tagged on a little extra VIP at the end as well. So
Yeah, we had to also at the end is the Samuel's family dinner at our house, which is also the last VIP event. Which is obviously a highlight of the whole weekend. Matter of fact, it's like I had so many people message me saying, I will not miss the family dinner next year. Like, hey,
Right.
you're lost. But yeah, so the VIP day was awesome. And then the next day, we did something different this year. So people love our tech mastermind. And Tech Mastermind is a time that no recordings and people just share. They share what they've been doing, they share little hacks, they share what's been working, all this stuff. But it's not something you would share like from a main stage or even a breakout room area. So, and we've always had these the past 6 years or past 5 years, we've always had these as a half day. And it's always kind of been at the end of the conference. So, end the conference and go right into the Tech Mastermind. Well, this year we decided to do a whole day for the Tech Mastermind. And man, I mean, one of the things I tell people, I had some guy message me and say, hey, what was the big difference between this year and last year? I couldn't make it this year. I said, the biggest difference that I saw was just the amount of stuff people just gave away, literally just gave it away. Not just showing what they're doing, but literally saying, hey, here's the files, here's this, here's that. And it was almost, for me as a host, thinking, wow, is this okay? Is it okay that all these people are giving all this great stuff away? And because I'm kind of like, yeah, give it all away, but let's just also limit some stuff that we're giving away. But that's probably the biggest shocker for me with Tech Day. And obviously, it was a great day, to talk about what people are doing. I got to show some of the stuff that I'm doing. But it is special, but I just could not believe the value. I mean, the whole conference for sure, but the Tech Day was just like, wow. I don't know how you thought about it, Elizabeth, but it was just like crazy good.
So what I thought was there, and I know that this year was just a touch smaller than what we did last year. There was a synergy this year that I haven't seen for a while, to be honest. The the quality of people, obviously, the the way everybody interacted and connected, like live in person, was like true friendship. There
Mhm.
was no drama at this conference, which, I'm not big on. I like to listen to other people's drama, but I don't want it in my sphere, right? And so the synergy with everybody, and not just speakers, not just VIP, every single attendee, it was just such a great mix. And I loved and appreciated that. And I think that's why the information flowed,
Mhm.
because we weren't worried about, oh, well, who's going to take and run with it or who's going to abuse the information. It was just such a really good mix of good people, and I love that. The generosity of the presenters, the speakers, I mean, I would consider them our friends. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that I can connect so well with them and that I trust them.
Yeah.
And so we had such a great mix of speakers that were genuinely invested in sharing and invested in giving. That was absolutely the best thing. And I think going forward, I don't want the tech mastermind to get too big, because I don't want to pollute the integrity that we have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, we talked about that, and we are going to limit the Tech Mastermind next year. We didn't limit it this year, but next year we are going to limit it. Mainly just because of I want one of the things that I did want to see more of, which they did offsite, obviously, or outside the meeting room, was for the presenters, whoever was presenting what, to have more time for questions, more time for help, more time for just explaining how their process or whatever is working. And that's the one thing that I did miss, because there was a lot of people in that room this year. And so yeah, next year we are going to limit the tech mastermind. So just fair warning. But it was great. And then in the afternoon, some people continued on in their little networking groups doing their own thing. And then Elizabeth had tables set up for people to play Cash Flow, which is Robert Kiyosaki's board game. It's one of our favorite games. Matter of fact, when we were investing in real estate and teaching people how to invest in real estate, we used to have large groups, 10 tables at once playing this game. So it is very, very cool. And it was nice to see. Would you have 2 full tables, right?
We did have 2 full tables, so, I mean, we were planning on we had the ability to do up to 8 if more people wanted to, but I totally understood, Tech Mastermind is a brain drain. There's a lot going on. But, the people that we had in there, it was a lot of fun, and it was facilitated by Allie, our daughter. She has really jumped into and started playing the game more, learning how money works and how it changes for her. And it's made a huge impact in how she manages her money. She's being a lot more responsible and thoughtful, making strategic purchases and looking at things differently. So, as entrepreneurs, money is a big issue for all of us, whether we have it, whether we don't have it, are we using it right? There's another new software around the corner. Shiny object syndrome is a big thing for us, and we have to be able to use our resources judiciously. So
Yeah.
I thought it would be a fun little break, nothing too heavy after a long day of tech. But it was a lot of fun. I thought it was great. We didn't have enough time to really finish. Like
Mhm.
that's a marathon game. That's not something that it's a quick win, but it was a great little break, and it was fun before the welcome reception.
It was. Yeah, it was for sure. And then just you key right into it. The welcome reception is what kicks off the whole event.
Yep, yep, that
So
was I wanna look at maybe something different next year, like the welcome reception at the hotel. I love the location. I love how it's on, the east side of the hotel, so as the sun sets, it's all in the shade, it's not hot. There's great places to sit, and talk and connect, but I think I wanna maybe look at something a little different because 'cause we've done it the same way for, like, 4 years now.
yeah,
And I like to shake things up. Like, yes, it was great. Yeah, I loved it. I loved, most everybody came, I think, so it was a good opportunity, all ticket levels to interact, talk. Who are you? Speakers, sponsors, all the things.
everybody. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, but again, I agree with you 100%. It's one of those things we haven't shaken up a little bit or tried something different. So it is on the slate to do that. We always try to find different ways to improve, obviously. So next year will be our 7th year. So we're coming up now to,
Yeah,
8th year, right?
right? Oh, 2019 was the first year.
Yeah,
So,
7th
okay.
year.
This was our 7th year. Next year will be
Yeah.
8th.
Yep, it's our 8th year. And and so matter of fact, we're getting away going to San Diego tomorrow. And we do this after every conference to see what can we do better, what can we improve, what was great that can be greater, and so these type of things as we go through this process of improving, this conference every single year is very, very important to us. So we don't like just even when we were back flipping houses, we would never, no 2 houses were ever the same. So it's like, so that's a good thing about it. So, but yeah, it was awesome. So, and in the morning of the first day on Friday, Marty Marion kicked us off. So, I mean, the one thing that I can say about this year, and it was official, I counted yesterday, I had 91 people want to speak at this year's event. So,
Wow.
and so it really was a giant chessboard this year. Usually we average about 70-ish, somewhere in there. But for some reason, because I think is because I did a lot more stuff on LinkedIn this year, I had a lot more requests from that side of the world to speak. And I'll be honest with you guys, if I don't know you guys, it's very hard to get me to put you on stage. But anyway, so I think the caliber of the morning speakers this year was just off the freaking charts. And
Yeah.
that was my stresses going into this thing, is because I had all these great people. Some of them totally requested to be in the breakout rooms, which are my favorite rooms. I'd rather be in a breakout room than on stage. But but the caliber of the speakers, and just started off the first day. So we opened up with Marty Marion. Of course, Marty's opened up almost every single conference we do. His just positioning and depositioning. I think he went through the whole depositioning side this time, and it was really, really enlightening. He was one of the top 3 speakers of the whole weekend. So that's always kudos to Marty, And then Austin Hauser. Austin was new to us. Talk about Austin. So
Austin was great. We encountered him at Chris Martinez's event in San Diego last year, and he is just a really engaging and wonderful person. His perspective is a little bit different. I mean, a lot of times you go to these events and you're expecting somebody to hit home on, you know, business and financials and rankings and all the things. And he really helped us understand like your purpose and how important it is to be very intentional with how you run your business, you know? So he shared a lot of personal things. Like I'm not gonna jump too into it, but we just really embraced and loved having him there. He was definitely a great addition.
100%. Yeah, just like you said, just a super guy. Kyle Roof was up next, and Kyle's been a friend of ours for many, many, many years. Matter of fact, I think he was one of the first people we met in this industry. He actually used to live here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So when Kyle calls me to ask me if he can come, it's always heck yeah, come on over. So and Kyle's just he's a storyteller. But he's super, super knowledgeable on all things around optimization and search and everything. So I loved that part of the conference, seeing Kyle back. Kyle was at our very first one. And it's just, Kyle's always a breath of fresh air for people, so he's
Well, he
super
explains it in
personable.
a way that is not super technical. You don't get lost in the weeds, and he assimilates the information and the knowledge in a way that is super accessible. And I
Yeah,
love that.
exactly. Yeah. And he's just a down to earth guy. He'll sit there and spend hours with you. A lot of people spent time with Kyle, but before he had to take off and head back overseas. Chris Martinez, talk about Chris is one of our favorite people.
Yeah, Chris Martinez is a great guy, a lot of integrity. We learned a lot through his group and his networking, and it was just really nice to connect. We really appreciated him coming out, very professional. A lot of times, as business owners, we get caught in the day-to-day fulfillment, and he really hit home how important it is to step away from that to work on your business, not in your business, and the value of what that looks like.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And it's a breath of fresh air, especially to know that, especially like us, we're in a position that we do want to try to have an exit at some point. And so when you talk to people like Chris, and there's, another person that talked about, an exit, I think it was Mark Rabb, those are things that you really, really have to pay attention to, because at some point, we just want to get out of the game, and it's much better to get out of the game with some money than it is to just get out of the game and give up. So yeah, that's kind of like my philosophy. So
Well, you have to plan it. It's not, oh, well, on a whim, I'm going to sell my agency. No,
yeah,
this is very thoughtful, very intentional, and 3 to 5, 6 years out, you really have to make sure you're doing things the right way. If you want to exit the right way, like what
yeah,
does that strategy look like? What do I need to know, do, and have in order
exactly.
to exit? Otherwise, yeah, we can close the doors tomorrow. Who cares? But I mean, okay, then what are we gonna do, right?
Yeah. And then we closed out the morning with Chase Buckner. Chase is from High Level. High Level's been a sponsor of ours 3 years in a row.
Yep.
This is the first year they really wanted to put somebody on stage, and so they brought Chase, which is a power hitter, to say the least, from High Level. We're massive High Level fans. We have been in our agency for a long time. It's also good that we can build stuff that connects to High Level and do all kinds of cool stuff now. Give it to Skylar. But I think the big thing about Chase is he just, there's a lot of stuff about High Level that's, it's a very, very big program, very robust. But he talked about some of the new stuff, AI Studio, and some of this other stuff they have going. So it's pretty cool to see that stuff. We haven't gone down a lot of those roads of the new stuff from High Level. So it was really cool to see that, hey, maybe we might want to look at this in the future. And then we went to lunch, and then obviously the breakout rooms. So the breakout rooms were 4 breakout rooms. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but we had automation and AI. Those were the 2 that were recorded in the live stream in the main room. So one day was AI, I think, and the next afternoon was the automation. So those were included in the live stream. And then we had the search room, and then we had the growth room. So I went to a lot of these. I didn't go to obviously as many as I wanted. But some of the highlights, I mean, obviously Aaron Grenke and some of the stuff he's doing, super. He was a first timer here at our conference to speak. Lisa P, the growth room was the room that I thought would be the lightest, and it was actually one of the best because of people are still interested in growing, especially with AI right now. So you're growing. Well, how can you use AI and automation and proficiency type stuff to make your agency grow better or faster or stronger? So I watched a lot of stuff that happened in the growth room. The search room is always Herc, Daryl Osborne, all these people that were in the search room, all super power hitters. And then, like I said, the automation room and AI, those things were just, crazy good. So, but the breakout rooms is kind of what sets us apart. So, and I do really, really love the people that do the breakout rooms because it's 2 times. You present twice, and I know how that is. But I also encourage them to either show the same thing twice or just show one thing and then maybe the advanced part of something or whatever. So, but the breakout rooms are really cool. This year's kind of one of my observations. This was the first year in the breakout rooms that we didn't have a lot of people not go to the breakout rooms. Last year and even the first year we did the breakout rooms, a lot of people just either hung out, doing their own networking or went to the pool, which is totally fine. But I just thought it was an interesting observation that almost everybody was in a room in the afternoon, and that was pretty cool to see. So,
well, my opinion is like if you're paying to come to the event, you want to get the most out of it. Like, yeah, it's great to network and talk with people, and that's why we focus so much on the after hours.
yeah.
And we try to create events where people can network. But the value is in those rooms. The amount of information and knowledge that people
Mhm.
were sharing, it just was amazing. It
Exactly. I mean,
Why
like
would you not
Jacob.
go? Like, you could hang out at the pool anywhere, anytime, but the information you got in the rooms was great.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I went to Jacob Kettner's the first day, and the thing I've loved Jacob. Jacob and I have known each other for years, but one of the main things I love about him is he built an agency that he really isn't hand in day to day now. I mean, that's like where I want to be. I want to still have my agency running, but I want to get away and do my own thing, and I'll just hey, just come and like tell me what's happening type of thing. But that's what I love about Jacob and what he taught. And a lot of people taught AI stuff in the growth room and AI stuff in the agency room. So, it wasn't just, that rigid. And I, encourage people even pre getting up ready to the conferences, take the people's topics for granted, just take them and, figure out, don't just kind of say, oh, I'm not really interested in that topic. And when you go and look at their topics and go actually see what they're doing, it's like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. So,
Well, and
um,
one thing that you didn't mention is Jacob has a traditional agency. He has
yeah.
people in the building. It's not
Mhm.
just VAs all over the country to where it's like all
Exactly.
remote.
Exactly. So, hello, Clint.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Good.
Was watching on the sidelines. I figure if I'm gonna hang out with you, I might as well
Heck
hang
yeah,
out.
come hang out for sure.
Yeah,
So,
throw your opinion out there. What did you think? What did you love?
Uh, One of the rooms that Terry mentioned, the AI automations room, and I was in that one, and then I did the search room. So, and I stayed on those 2 days. I just stayed in those room and watched the speakers. So, Andrew Ainsley, his presentation was really cool. It was kind of everywhere. So one of the benefits, I got one of these things for specifically for the conference, the Plod, and that
Oh, nice.
actually, yeah, that actually helped a lot, especially the Andrews because he was kind of everywhere during his presentation, and this put it all into English for me, which was awesome. Dan Kurtz's presentation was really good. He talked about using OpenClaw, and then he ended it up. He's got a cold email system that he's launching here pretty soon, and he talked about that. And he gave access away for that to beta test it. So, cold email systems are cold email systems. It is what it is. But he's got I think he's gonna have a leg up when he actually integrates all that data that he talks about into it.
Mhm.
And that'll be very useful and save you from having to scrape emails, which is cool.
100%.
Who else did I watch? Daryl Osborne. I was actually looking forward to Daryl's the whole time because have been a member of his mastermind, and I am in his mastermind Discord. He allows me to stay in, even though I don't give him money, which is nice of him. And they have, it's called Local Surge, and they have version 3 coming out, and he's actually made a software to kind of facilitate all that stuff. And he was talking about that as pretty interesting presentation. And then I saw I watched Herc's presentation too, which is okay. He was showing Zagio and kind of showing it off. And then I watched Brian Winham. Got a man crush on Brian Winham. I have ever since I've seen him at SEO at the Beach years ago.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, Brian's one of my favorites. And I love the stuff he's doing with LLMS type stuff.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. You know, everyone's talking about, hey, do your LLM text, and that's the end of it. Where he's got that and 10 other files that go along with it and support it, and all interlink the whole thing. And
yeah,
that was really cool hearing that. So those are the ones that I got the most out of, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Lisa Pease. I was in Lisa Pease. She's always good. You know, she was talking about everything else, you know, the TikTok world, all the other worlds that I'm not in. I barely even do Instagram. But it was interesting to see, you know, how important that stuff is, and kind of made me realize that I need to probably do that.
Yeah,
that was crazy. So
I kind of blame our industry for that, because when I first started, that's how I was ranking websites, with social sharing, etc. And then all the talking heads in SEO, oh, social media doesn't help your SEO. If you do that, you're just spamming. And it's all promotion. And ergo, how do you promote on the internet? You build links, and you're using your social medias to build links to your properties and expand your voice. Like, to me, I just find it amazing that people are speaking of it as if it's the new latest and greatest thing. And if you're not doing it now, I mean, honestly, if you think it's the new latest and greatest thing, you're already 10 years behind. So.
Yeah, 100%. That's the whole thing. It's like, you know, I'm looking at, okay, so maybe I missed that. Maybe I missed that train. Can I buy some aged ones? That's always our question. Or do I have to start from scratch?
I mean, I would start from scratch, because you're learning. You have Solterra. I know you have all those social profiles.
Oh, totally. 100%.
The only thing you're missing is the syndication piece. And people are reinventing Traffic Geyser like it's some new thing, and that thing was out in 2000. And I've been doing that stuff ever since. You know, you write a blog post, you take the time to do that. Now you have really no excuse of why you're not turning it into a video, and you're not turning it into a podcast, and you're not making 10 different shorts out of it and firing it off. You know,
100%. Definitely.
Easy stuff.
So the answer is give it to Skylar, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
definitely. He's already doing some pretty crazy stuff. I haven't seen him so excited. So, like, dude, what are you working on today?
That's good. It's good to hear.
Heck yeah, for sure. Okay, so Saturday, day 2, we opened up with Adam McChesney. Adam came back. He's the second time we've had him come here. One of my favorite friggin' people. He builds solid agencies, and this is the second one. He talked about this is the second one that he built. But really cool story, really smart guy. Just, you know, he knows how to do it right, and that's one of the reasons why I asked him to come back and talk about, you know, what he's doing now. But I think he was 7 figures in 18 months or something. I think the second one is what he did. So super dynamic guy.
Great guy. It was good, refreshing hearing someone who was honest. You know, last time I spoke at SBO spring training, I was, you know, sucking ass. You didn't say that, he's too nice, but that's essentially what it was. And then he came and this is how I turned it around. I think most people don't do that. They just sit on these platforms and, oh, it's rosy, it's great, it's wonderful, but yeah, it's anything but any of that.
Yeah,
in the background.
Definitely. And then we had Let's see. Oh, we had so Ariel went later. Sorry, I should look
Ariel
at
was
my.
the last day, right?
Yeah,
On
let me go to
Sunday.
my app. Hold on, I got an app for this.
Yeah, let's talk a minute about the app. I really loved it. I thought it was great. Obviously, we were still fine tuning a couple little details, but I got a lot of really great responses from people about the app that they loved it. It made things really fun, a little bit different. I know there's other conference apps out there. Did you use it very much, Clint?
I did, but I don't know. It's just, to me, is like, I think of app and it's a download an app out of the app store, and I have this app.
Okay, well, we didn't go in the app store because I
Yeah.
don't want any random person on there. I only wanted the people that were at the event, so I wanted to keep it kind of private.
Yeah. So it's, but progressive web app would be probably a better application name. PWA. It was a PWA.
We're gonna call it a prog app.
Yeah,
So
but it was cool.
instead of prog rock, it's prog app.
Yeah, I the feature that I liked the most is I could schedule out the day. Like, originally, I was gonna bounce around between the rooms and stuff. Then I've decided, no, I'm just gonna stay in here. But when I was planning on bouncing around, being able to star the talks that I wanted to do and getting the messages, hey, this one's getting ready to start, etc. That was pretty cool feature. I like that.
Nice.
Good deal. Yeah, I was, and I'm still making improvements. I'm listing improvements while I was there. So, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. So let me see here. Saturday. So I think we went from Adam.
Go ahead.
We went from Adam to Bill Hartzner. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, so yeah, tell me. I didn't catch Bill's talk.
But he talked a lot about, obviously he does a lot of witnessing. He's really big in the domain world. Like if you get your domain stolen or whatever, he's like the first person you should call. But he does do a lot of legal witnessing, whether it be, what something might have happened to a website, all these different things. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I actually got kind of conned into something and I denied going, but you have to be careful in that world. So I was asked to do an audit and I thought they were going to become a client for a lawyer. This was before COVID. And I did the audit and I gave all my science, all my stuff back to them and said, hey, when you want to sit down and go through the proposal, and they're like, oh, no, we want you to be a witness at a trial. And I was like, nah, sorry. I'm not that guy. But Bill does a lot of that stuff. Is a lot of the stuff that I got out of it, not really specifics, but he is that guy. He's the legal expert witness person in our industry. I don't know anybody else that does it besides Bill. Do you, Clint?
No, I don't. And I don't know anyone else that brags about it either. So I'm sure there's other people. But
Not that sexy, is it?
Yeah. But this was the first year that Bill came and spoke, which was awesome. I follow Bill all over the place, especially around domains. I love the advice and stuff he gives about domains is awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna do another test. We did a test to see which TLD Google preferred.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did last time 20. Bill's gonna order 100 TLDs, and we're gonna build that test out and see if we can duplicate that and see that. So that'd be cool.
Awesome. And then we had Joy Hawkins. And Joy's I'm kind of one of Joy's biggest fans. She is so into the maps and, I love some of the stuff she does and talks about. And she's just a wealth of information. Another thing cool about her is every morning at breakfast, she was down hanging with people, sharing and talking. And, I really love that about people that have never been to our event before. She did say that it was the longest event she's ever been to, 5 days, and I was like, well, hey, thanks for hanging with us for 5 days. But, yeah, I just, one of my favorite speakers. What'd you think about Joy, Clint?
It was great. I invited her to Rockstars last year, and I missed that, so I missed the chance to meet her in person. And we've been stalking each other in social for quite some time. It was great finally getting to shake her hand and talk to her in person and hear her presentation.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I was really glad she came. She is one of the top ones I wanted to ask. And, I didn't know what to expect. I met her at Rockstars. And, I'd always known her as the white hat person. It was interesting seeing her and Ted have a conversation on the way to the VIP event. I was actually the seat behind, so I got to eavesdrop. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, she's a real down to earth person. Matter of fact, I'm going to be contacting her for a map issue that I got. But she is that type of person. She loves helping people. So
we got a lot of positive feedback that they were really excited that she was there. She really gave a lot of value in her presentation.
yeah,
And I actually told her, because she had an event earlier, like last year, and I told her I was totally stealing her idea. She's like, nope, it's an open idea. And I'm like, because I don't want to copy what everybody else does. I want to be different and unique. But she did hot ones where they had the hot wings, and then you had to answer like questions, and I thought that was brilliant. She said it was very successful, so I think that would be a fun little ad toward when
yeah,
you
exactly. That's pretty awesome. And then we had this guy named Merlino. I don't know. I don't know.
I love the reaction of people who had never seen him before. They were
Yeah.
just blown away.
Especially, yeah, because I was Jed Morley, who went up after him. He was one of the sponsors from PlodPay. And yeah, and he was like, "Who is this guy?" It's like, man, he gets invited to every event just because of his enthusiasm.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah.
But he
if you
is.
want your audience screamed at for an hour, then invite Mike Murray.
Yeah, invite Mike. Exactly. But he is doing some killer stuff with AI now. Obviously, he's just a wealth of knowledge in our business, and he's getting ready to have his event up in October here, and that's going to be awesome too. So, but yeah, it was a great morning. Then we had Jed come up, Jed Morley from PlatPay, and talk to a little bit about his program. I'm actually super excited about PlatPay and his sponsorship, because I am getting just sick and tired of Stripe and PayPal. So I'm probably going to move. We're probably going to move our university over with them, and then look and see what we do with the conference. But I've been looking for alternative systems that number one weren't super expensive. Number two, didn't hold my money for 14 days. All these different variables of what these payment processors do, and it was just nice to talk to him and spend some time with him, and see more about his system. So him and JetHost was another one I'm super excited about, because we're in the hosting world, and I think if they can help us, that's just going to be that much better.
Well, it was great because before the event, we had an opportunity to sit down and have dinner with Lubo and Melody from JetHost that own the company, and get to know them as people, find out the integrity that they have as well as what they have to offer. And then they weren't able to stay for the conference itself, but they shared a video talking to the audience. And so I thought that was really nice that they put the extra effort into it.
Yeah.
Not all sponsors are able to be here, but at least, give something back, share with people who you are, what you're about, instead of, just throwing swag at us. Although I love the swag. Like I'm wrapping the t-shirt, right?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, all of our sponsors were awesome this year for sure. So we're very blessed to have them. In the afternoon, just a couple of my highlights. In that afternoon, I did go see Cato's Square Peg SEO, which I love anything Cato does. So, or Brian Cato, make it official. So I was really looking forward to his presentation. And I also went to Elias's. So Elias does forensic analysis and stuff like that, which is like one of my favorite things. So I was interested. Once he told me his topic, I was like, okay, I'll be there. So another great afternoon. And then the other one I went to on that day, I think was, that's when I went and saw Brian Winham. So that was my Brian Winham, fanboy stuff. I forgot to mention on the first day, we did a GBP panel. So a maps panel with Joy and with Ben Fisher.
Yeah.
this was really cool. So I actually had a couple people come up to me after this and said that was a pretty dang good idea, because a lot of people don't know who Ben Fisher is. And people, if you follow LinkedIn especially and stuff, you see a lot of joy. But Ben Fisher is like the GBP man. And so he talks to Google, he's in these panels, he's part of that world. And he lives right here in Phoenix. So but it was really cool just, because I really wanted a panel for around maps, mainly because I didn't want to have a breakout room specifically around maps, because, the maps part of it now is, even though it's so important for local, a lot of people are trying to find ways to do maps with AI, like Mateo is doing some stuff with AI and maps and stuff. So, but it was really good to have a panel, get the group together and be able to ask questions, especially to Ben, and get some help. And Ben's obviously offered to help people if they need it. And then the second breakout session, or the second panel, was the SEO panel with Clint and I and this guy named Ted Kabitis. So that was pretty cool. That one ran like an hour and 20 minutes. So there was a lot going on with that one. But that was a great panel too. So, and then we have Sunday. So the Sunday was pretty good. Hold on, I got to get back up here on my schedule. Okay, so we did we opened it up with Charles Taylor. Charles spoke at our event. He's like one of our favorite stories when he was with Fox. When we saw him buy a ticket, and I mentioned to a couple of the speakers that we have somebody from Fox.com coming, they actually dropped out of wanting to speak because they thought Charles was so white hat and they weren't going to present anything that could be gray hat or black hat or whatever. And I still remember how comical that was. And then we all get to meet him. He's just like us. He just does whatever it takes to rank. And so, but he does talk about, and I'm so glad he talks about migrations. And migrations is always one of the things that if I see a big drop in rankings, 99% of the time it's due to a migration. So the migration just wasn't done right. The 301 redirects weren't done. There's all kinds of things that go wrong in migrations.
I'll be honest, it's the web dev's fault, right?
Well, and a lot of, unfortunately, especially in the SEO world, a lot of web devs don't realize how important that is. They're just like, oh, I'll take your website from Shopify and I'll make it over to WordPress and hey, everything will be good.
Oh, let's read all your pages because they don't make sense.
So really great topic. Did anything new from Charles or Clint?
No, I don't think so. I talk to him once a week, and I've kind of seen the migration presentations before. But
exactly,
it's funny to hear you tell that story about, oh, he's going to rat us out. I mean, he works for Fox News. If that would probably apply if you work for CNN or ABC or something, but it's Fox News. So
exactly.
Seriously, you don't think those guys aren't doing black hat stuff? You're crazy.
It was really comical too, and and it's I get it, whatever, so that's fine. And then we had Daewoo Bakari. He was one of the ones that really, I knew about him only through Matt Singer's and his relationship with him. So I'd seen some of his videos and, watched some of the stuff he did. But the cool thing he does with the PRs, not press releases, the public relations type stuff, HARO, he does a lot of stuff with the help a reporter out. I love that stuff, and I've wanted to do more of the HARO type stuff for a long time. So I took a lot of notes when he was speaking about some of the stuff he does, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if we can do that type of stuff going forward. But he was one of my favorite speakers, just because it was something that I was really engaged in, that I could actually see how I could implement. I've been watching the HARO stuff for years, but he kind of put it in a different light for me, and as far as how important it is and how these reporters are just dying for this information, which I've heard before, but I'll bet you now it's even worse. But
well, it's absolutely the hardest way to build backlinks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. I mean, the white hat space named it digital PR, but you're just building backlinks, and all you're doing is content marketing, doing all this research, and then handing it out and hoping you're going to get backlinks out of it. And his method, the way he showed it in the presentation, is pretty interesting. He didn't say we guarantee it, but he was showing that they had actually decent results doing it. So if you can manage to pull that off, that's awesome.
Yeah, then that you can, obviously the quality of the backlinks are better, so compared to going out to the marketplace and trying to buy stuff. But it is a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work, but the reason why I think we might consider it is because of how good the backlinks are. And backlinking to me right now is like the wild, wild west. It's just, it's the stuff that was $30 a link is now $300 a link, and it's no better than anything else. And and it's more important, or buffer sites and buffer pages and all this shit now. And so, it's just one of those things. If I was ever going to get back into really heavy backlinking, I'd probably do it from the Haro side than I would go buying guest posts, or, buying expired domains for 301 redirects, all that crap I used to do.
The problem with the Haro method, I do it. Like I'm on 3 of those like lists that send those information out. And those are journalists saying, "Hey, we need this information." And you have this very short amount of time to collect that information, create a blog post, and build it. That's the problem with the Haro.
Exactly.
The way that he's doing it is they're trying to anticipate a story based off of current trends, making the article and then sending it to the list of journalists saying, "Hey, we have this." And that part right there, building that list, that's the hardest part.
Yeah,
like I did it for when I was doing my master's degree for press relations, and getting a list of journalists that, one, getting their actual emails, that's horrid. And then 2, getting them to actually respond to you is another thing, because they're blasted. They're just like the rest of us. They're blasted with spam, etc. So, yeah,
for sure.
I mean, more power to you if you want to do it, but I would just, clearly he's got a database of journalists built already, and that's the hardest part. I would just use him.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we had Ben Fisher come up and talk to us about GBP suspensions. Obviously, he said a lot of crazy stuff. Actually, it was the only one that I recorded with Plot. I kept forgetting to turn my Plot on. And so I'm actually looking forward to going back and watching that one all over, because I only saw parts of it. But GBP suspensions is something that we all have to deal with. Like I said, I'm dealing with one right now that's kicking my butt. And so, those type of things, I don't want to deal with them. But if you're in the local space and you have clients, you're probably going to have to deal with it at some point. So, did you take any notes from Ben's?
I took notes, but I also had conversations with other attendees about it. And, we all have tests that kind of debunk 75% of the stuff that he was telling. That being said, he is intertwined in the maps community at Google. So you're not going to get anything beyond Google terms of service stuff on a guy like Ben. So
definitely. Yep. He's not going to go off in the little clouds over there. So, yep. No, exactly. So, and then he kind of told me that, which I knew. Then we had Ted Kubitis come on. He talked to us about referring domains and multi-channel SEO. Ted's always crazy and awesome. One of our favorite people that we invite. I think he really freaking talked about a lot of cool shit this time. What'd you think of Ted's?
So the one part of the presentation that I was excited about was the categorization of your links, social media versus blog, et cetera, et cetera. I actually came home and built a tool that did that using Ahrefs and SEMrush data and pulling out a search console. I saw I tested like 50 sites link profiles to see it, and the patterns aren't as cool as Ted says. Yeah, I mean, there's not an ability there to go, "Oh, I need more social medias," or "I need more of this," or "I need more of that." But that could have been off of excuse me, that could have been off of site selection, just looking to see if I can, duplicate that string. I think the real value in that part of his presentation is really, am I going against a spam site? whereas a normal site that you and I would do would have a decent mix of backlinks versus a spam site that's just kind of focused on a set of 4. But beyond that, there was, I think, that was the part of the presentation that I get the most excitement out of.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
And he did give that PHP script away, and I'll be taking that apart and doing some stuff with that too. So
yeah, I haven't even got down that rabbit hole yet for sure. So, and then Chris Moore kind of shut the conference down with funnel hacking. Unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of time to talk to us. He was actually sitting there in the morning and realized an international flight has to be at the airport like 90 minutes before a regular flight. And so he's like, oh crap. So anyways, we're going to get him to come on and do one of our digital events. So all the people can see all the cool stuff Chris Moore does. Chris Moore was the MC. He's one of our favorite people. The guy is just business smart, funnel smart, lead gen smart. I mean, the guy has so many different variables that, it's really awesome to see that he's willing to come back and do a digital thing with us because he didn't get to spend much time. But would you have anything about Chris?
I will say that he didn't give a presentation, but that was the best on the fly talk I've ever heard. And he gave out so much information and ideas, and he's showing off his prompts for essentially the backbone of the SaaS he made to help business owners. And even then, it was like the prompts were secondary. I'm sure a whole bunch of people walked away and, oh, I got prompts, but the prompts for me were secondary, and just the mindset that guy has. And you guys know I am not a mindset person at all. But he's kind of contagious to be around for sure.
Yeah, he really is, and he's got a heart of gold. We've been to a bunch of different events with him, been to his own event, and it's just he's first time I met him, I was working on my laptop, and I was just working. At that point, I was so sick of hiring people to do our Go High Level. I think Elizabeth and I spent over 15 grand trying to get our high level set up, and I was just going to do it myself. So it happened to be during that event I was working on this, and he goes, "Hey, what are you working on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to get this freaking high level funnel shit going." And he's like, "Oh, let me see what you're doing." Literally in 10 minutes, he built me 2 funnels, and I'm still using these 2 funnels today. That just freaking blew my mind. And freaking, if they convert, they do these, and I was like in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I was like, "What the hell, dude?" So he's always the one that I go to now to get my funnels checked. And the funnel hacking part of it, I love, because you don't have to guess anymore. You just go find funnels that are working, and go down that rabbit hole. Sign up for shit and pay $5, and go to the next screen and the next screen, and just see how their funnels are. It's the old way of the way what's his face used to teach all that stuff. Still teaches
Russell
it.
Brunson.
Yeah, Russell Brunson.
Yeah, but like we met him at one of Patrick's events, and he just gives so generously. Like we were off to the side. It was like me, Randy, Rhodey, and I can't remember somebody else. And Chris was like just whiteboarding. Okay, you just do this, 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 and you set it up like this. And he just like gave all that information and let us record it for us personally, like not for us to share or like throw that out there. But I just thought that was really kind and generous that he gives so freely that way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, he's just awesome, and I think he's traveling to London to do a big event there. It's his own event in London. So, great guy, awesome guy. He's available to us whenever we need him, which is always the good thing about our family that we built.
Okay, I know we skipped over because there was a schedule change, but I want to pop in and share about Ariel and Kat. Oh my gosh, like. There was a unforeseen circumstance. Ariel got sick, and it was just a weird, bizarre event. But we gave her the opportunity. Like, I know if somebody's sick, I will not force anybody to do anything, no matter what we've agreed upon. And we gave her the opportunity if she wanted to come on and do a webinar after the fact. And she said, "Nope, I'm gonna tough it up, and I'm gonna do this." And she presented during lunch for everybody just because of the way her flight was. And like she gives so much value, and she gives graciously as well. And we were just so thankful and appreciative. But again, if you're sick, I am not gonna force anyone on stage. Go take care of do.
Yeah, that lady gave a good presentation, and she did it while she was suffering through food poisoning. So
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she's stronger than I would, because I would have been like, "I'm out. See you later."
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't be at on the way to Yuma. Hey, where'd you go? But yeah, she is truly one of our favorite people. And I talked about this when I introduced her, is that the cool thing about what she does, she's niched down into roofing, which is great. You know, she's a prodigy of Josh Nelson stuff. But she takes it to the next level. Not only does she just do marketing for roofers, but she teaches roofers how to do business. So once a month, she has a conference room in her building that she fills up full of roofers, and she teaches them how to do their numbers, how to do the sales, all the stuff to help build their businesses way beyond marketing. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And she'll get 30, 40 people in this room every single month that are actual roofers, or, you know, people wanting to do roofing or whatever. And, you know, I just think that's when you kind of become yourself irreplaceable. You know, you kind of
Yeah.
become more than just the, you know, SEO guy or SEO girl or whatever. And, you know, and people don't do enough of that. You know, if you're niche down, you probably know as much of that business as the people you're talking to. So go beyond helping them at their market, you know, go beyond. And of course, you know, monetize it, but, you know, become that person that they can come to for other stuff besides, hey, I'm now number 4. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things I love about what she's built. And she's got such a great reputation in roofing. And, you know, and she just took it to the next level, which I thought was really cool. So, all right. And then we shut the conference down at basically noon on Sunday.
Noon or 1, something like that.
Yeah, like 1, I think. And then of course people hung around, you know, all that stuff, tear down and everything. And then we had the VIP Samuels family dinner at our house on Sunday night. That was awesome. It was taco night, I think is what we call it.
It was taco night. I cooked for
Um,
everybody.
Yep. And it was just a lot of fun, you know, seeing people connect. You know, it was pretty cool. There was an awesome sunset. You know, they're like, man, you see this every day. We're like, yeah, we kind of do.
I
But
do.
you know, yeah, but today it's going to be 110. Not a good day to have a picnic.
We watch it through the window. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's one of the, you know, we did that for the first time last year. It's something we will continue to do because it is kind of like a good ending. You know, invite all the VIPs and speakers over to the house, and, you know, let everybody unwind and do all that stuff. And it was one of our favorite things to do.
So a lot of people don't really know this, but technically after the very first conference, we kind of did that because there was probably about 4 people whose flight was delayed and they had nothing to do until that. So Terry's like, hey, come over to our place. So I do have a couple of pictures of a few people from that very first one. So we just kind of resurrected it.
Yeah. So, but it was a lot of fun. So next year we're looking at the week of April 11th as the tentative dates. Again, we probably won't firm that up until closer to August, maybe, just because we want the Diamondback schedule. You know, so, but that's the tentative dates. It's going to be either maybe a week before or the week after. It's going to be right around there.
Yeah.
We did a survey to find out when everybody's kids' spring break is, and most of them are done in March. So we feel pretty confident that's going to be a good week for everybody. We are going to be changing things up again a little bit. We're going to be looking at some different things about, you know, some of the offsite stuff. And then, you know, I think the venue, we haven't had a meeting with them yet, obviously, but the venue I hope is pretty solid. They are building a new hotel in downtown Gilbert, which is where we are. But it looks like right now from the pictures, it's not going to be, you know, the breakout rooms is the issues. We need at least 4 rooms to be able to do our system. So we're not sure the new hotel in Gilbert will be sufficient. But message us with any questions. We're going to be putting up the request to speak link up there again here probably this weekend. And then also the sponsorship link. So those will both be live this weekend. And then the pre-sale is over, by the way. So there's no more chance to get the VIP for under $2K. If you miss that, Sorry. And it's actually the first time in six years we've ever had a VIP that's under 2K. So if you missed that, I apologize, but it is what it is. So anything else, Clint or Elizabeth?
Nope.
So it was a super event. I think it was probably one of the best ones we had, especially on the value side. And it was, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. Of course, we missed some people that couldn't be there this year, whether it be through health reasons or scheduling or whatever. But we hope everybody can join us again next year because it's just going to continue to get better. So.
Well, I had a couple of shout outs for like our staff. I just want to say thank you because if you guys know me, like I'm like super always stressed about all the things. I want it to be amazing. I want no hiccups, and there's always hiccups. So like I understand that. But our AV team, Mario, this was his second year doing it. Did a great job, super professional. I want to give a shout out to Allie and Skylar, our kids. Like I know it's not easy being our kids because we kind of throw our kids into a lot of shit. But like Skylar stepped up as far as like setup and tear down. He was awesome at it. Allie with registration, they call her the badge Nazi because she will make sure that you do have your badge to get into all the areas. And she helped with facilitate the cash flow. And so she really took ownership with a lot of stuff. And I just really appreciated it. I had a lot of help with Allie with the VIP party at our house because obviously it's at our house. And I'm like, focused on all the things. My friend Kirsten came in, helped set up all the food. We just really had a lot of great help. Oh my gosh, I have to say thank you to Ben and Jonathan, my tech, my AV, or my developers, because they were making sure that the live stream went through. They were making sure that, they did cute little, little promo things, video stuff. Like, oh my God, like I would not be here without my tech support. So I just wanted to say a thank you to them because they're amazing.
Yeah.
I have really great devs this year.
Yeah, it was a good event for sure. And thank you, Clint, for all the stuff that you guys do on your side. And, we'll just keep getting this sucker better and better.
Yeah, I had a great time. You talked about Skylar, and he's just in mentioning I helped you set up and stuff. But I don't know if you guys noticed. I certainly did. He's really opened up more to more people, and he's actually a really good host. Like he makes you feel welcome for being there. And the other thing that's really cool about him is he's still excited about the industry and things that are going on. That kind of rubs off on you too. So
yeah, for sure. He's awesome. He's been with us since he was 14, so he's been with us forever. This year though, man, he is just going nuts on building stuff, and I keep looking in his cloud going, oh, what are you doing there? So but that's the cool thing about it. We encourage all of our family and employees or whatever to just do stuff that'll make your job better, more exciting, more fun. Do stuff that we need that would make the company better and more fun. I mean, so that's what all this is about. And he's up at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, he's freaking just like, damn, dude, continue on, baby. So and that's the type of thing that some of these events will do that to you. It'll fire you up. We're going to take him to New Orleans with us for Rock Stars. Do that type of stuff too, because he is becoming more of that person. He's a huge introvert, just like I am. But he is putting himself out there more. Not as much as Subway when he worked for 4 hours and couldn't handle it. But
you're not throwing that around, that poor kid. He got a job at Subway. It was like one of his first jobs. And like he called me after a couple of hours and he's like, Mom, they're like watching me make the sandwich. And we're like, yeah, that's the job description. He's like, do I have to stay? And I'm like, no, of course not. I don't care.
I mean, you don't have a job history unless you've worked and quit a fast food restaurant. So I think it's all right.
Several times over. Oh my God. Like, don't even look at my job history. It's horrific. But,
yeah, exactly. So, well, thank you everybody for joining us. Please like, share, Come on.
Subscribe and follow.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
share, subscribe,
Terry,
and
you
follow.
can't.
You know, I got a million things in my mind. So, anyways, thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Actually, we won't be back next. No, we will be back next week. Sorry about that. We're going to San Diego tomorrow, but we'll be back on Sunday. But message us for any questions. Again, if you want to speak next year, the only way I'm even going to consider is to fill out the form. So that's the only way that I can kind of weed out the people that aren't really taking it seriously. So,
well, and you've had experiences in the past where you were trying to put people on stage, and I'm thinking of one specific person that you're like, I can't put you on stage because you couldn't even perform for us. And then they went and like completely like napalmed my Facebook account. So please be careful before you share with somebody how incompetent they are if they have access to my business manager.
Yeah, that wasn't a fun time. So, but anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate you all, the people that came to spring training. It was so awesome to see you, meet you, reconnect, all that good stuff. If you didn't come next year, you know, I hate to say this, but you won't regret it. You know, we've never had anybody regret coming to spring training. So, and it gets, like I said, it gets better and better every year. Who knows what's going to happen with the world of AI? We could all just have robots on stage. They're talking for us.
And then we'll all go hang out at the bar while the robots are on stage doing the conference.
Exactly. So take it to the next level. So thank you, Sir Clint, for joining us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And matter of fact, we'll see you tomorrow for some food.
Looking forward to it.
Right
What are you thinking? Chili's this time or Famous Days?
Chili's is always good. So
What
else is new in Yuma, I guess?
I mean, it's Yuma, so you're not gonna get a whole selection.
Not gonna get a cake steakhouse or nothing like that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Just
So
good food.
all right,
Good food,
everybody
good
have a
company.
wonderful week. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate you. Talk soon.